This video is made possible by Gerald Subaru. You know Subaru makes fantastic cars, and Gerald Subaru in Naperville matches those vehicles with fantastic service as well. Visit GeraldSubaruNaperville.com to start your new car search today. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2013 Nissan Quest. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, and down below is a CVT. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here Quest for two main reasons. First of all, I've never driven a Quest before. The Nissan Quest has been around since the late 90s and was actually discontinued in 2016 or 2017 for fleet sales. So that's a pretty good run for a minivan, but they are no longer made. The second reason I'm super excited to be driving the Quest is because back in the day, I don't even know if my parents will remember this, but we were car shopping back in 2004, and we had three options: a Chevy Trailblazer, a Chrysler Pacifica, and a Nissan Quest. And for better or for worse, we decided on the Chrysler Pacifica. But the Nissan Quest has always had a little interesting nook in my mind because I always knew that that was one of the first cars we could have had, and yet we didn't. So let's see if I missed out on something great or if I dodged a bullet. But before we get on with the rest of the video, if you are looking to sell your car, click the link in the description below. Cashforcars.com will pick up your car with a salvage title, clean title, running, non-running, whatever it is. Click the link in the description below, get your free quote, and they will pick up your vehicle in less than 24 hours. So let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6 under the hood. Well, now, where have we heard about a 3.5 liter V6 from Nissan? Oh yeah, the Nissan 350Z, the sports car, the car that I absolutely love. This is a Nissan 350Z engine. It's also an Infiniti G35 engine. The VQ35DE, which is this engine, has been used in a lot of Nissan vehicles, and I think they make solid torque and power for what they are. I'm putting the horsepower and torque up on the screen. It's nothing that'll really blow you away. It's sub 300 horsepower, but it's still adequate for all of the applications that Nissan puts it in. And I've always really liked these engines. I will put the miles per gallon up on the screen as well for those of you interested in what sort of fuel economy the Nissan Quest gets. It's a minivan. It's not going to shock the world. However, it's also not terrible. It is what it is. All right, VQ35DE. Yeah, there's no grip. That was 40 actually, which is impressive. But as I started to rev it up a little bit, I definitely heard notes from the 350Z. There is that slight little overtone from that VQ. You can't hide the sound of a VQ, and I definitely got it there. But it's adequate power. The CVT doesn't fake shift, which might be a little unnerving to a lot of people, but I'm used to it now. It feels a little weird, but it gets up and goes. It'll get out of its own way. If you have to take the highway to soccer practice, it's going to be able to do that. And that's all I could really ask for out of a Quest. Like I said, paired to it is a CVT, which means continuously variable transmission. And so Nissan has been doing this for quite some time, and historically I'm not a fan of CVTs. I think they feel quite weird. However, this isn't a performance application. This isn't a sporty vehicle. It's a minivan, and I honestly haven't even noticed it at all. I think for non-sporty applications, CVTs are fine. They do the job, and that's all I needed to do here in the Quest. Last but not least, this Quest is front-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. We have quite a bit to go through, and of course we will be talking about the back seats a little bit later on. But also, before we get any further, just remember that this is the S. This is the Nissan Quest S, which is a base model. This is not going to have all of the bells and whistles that were offered in the Nissan Quest. This is just sort of a quick glimpse of what the chassis was like. So just keep that in mind. Well, in front of me, I have three different gauges. On the left is my tachometer, in the center is my speedometer, and then on the right, I have my fuel, gear, odometer, trip odometer, and my coolant temperature down at the bottom. I like that little information section. I think it's really, really handy. However, at the very bottom of this speedometer, I do have a little screen that I could switch between a couple different things, and I'm cycling through now. Very, very nice information. I get a lot of information for it being a minivan, and I really, really like that. But my favorite of those gauges is the MPG gauge. It gives you a current MPG. And what's interesting is that it's so smooth going up and down. It almost looks like water sort of sloshing in a gauge. And actually it like really notices just small inputs of throttle and really helps me drive more efficiently because it's that fluid flowing sort of motion. In my personal Mazda 3, I have a current MPG bar, but it's not as smooth. It just gives me a rough estimate. I would be obsessed with this gauge if I owned this vehicle. On either side of the gauges, I do have my controls for that center screen as well as my gauge dimmer switch. They're actually on the sides of the gauge cluster, which is sort of an interesting location. On the steering wheel, on the right, I have my cruise control options, and on the left, I don't have anything, creating a very asymmetrical steering wheel. However, it's not the end of the world. It's a very bland, plasticky, tan, beige steering wheel. Nothing too interesting there. To the left of me, I just have my traction control off button. This would normally be where the power rear doors would be situated. However, like I said, this is a base model and does not come with the power doors. So I get a ton of dead switches, but like I always say, it's a base model, so it's to be expected. On the door, I have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Nothing really too interesting. And then getting into the center, this is my pretty standard Nissan radio. I don't get a screen, which is a little bit lacking for 2013. This is sort of the beginning of the era of screens being more prominently in vehicles. So I would have liked to have seen that, but again, S base model, that's okay. Then I get a nice little shelf, and my climate controls are off to the right. Again, I really like the design of the climate controls, just like that MPG gauge in the gauges. It has like this bar for hot or cold, kind of showing me what sort of range I'm in. I like the white LEDs as opposed to the orange ones found in the center display. Very easy to use, very simple. I feel like a toddler can use it, and that is absolutely awesome. To the left of that, that is where you'll find our actual shifter. I can put it into low if I'd want to, but I can't actually shift gears because this is a CVT. It doesn't even give me that option. Underneath the climate controls, I do actually get a nice little cubby storage hole, I guess for your phone or maybe for your sunglasses. It's pretty deep, which I like a lot. And I always think it's important to have lots of storage options in a vehicle like this because it's a minivan. This is a tool. You're gonna be using this on road trips and to soccer practice and all that stuff. So the storage is pretty good. Now, there's even more storage down below. First of all, we have 3 dead switches. Slightly annoying that they didn't just put a block-off plate here, that it looks like the fake switches. However, it is what it is. I just feel like this was more effort on Nissan's part than it really had to be. Just make a blank piece of plastic instead of actually using 2 different colored plastics. But whatever. Then I have 2 tiny little cup holders. I mean, these are little thimble cup holders. And we will not be doing the big friggin' bottle test on these cup holders because we have more to come. But I do get little pop-out ones, which is very nice. Then I have a big storage container at the very bottom. Again, plenty of storage here in the Nissan Quest, and I love that. Moving to the center console, this is where I have my larger cup holders, and this is where I will do a big friggin' bottle test. And you know what? I'm gonna give it a pass. The bottle doesn't go all the way down to the bottom, but I've been driving for about an hour now with it in the cup holder, and it has not budged. It has stayed still, and actually, as you'll see on screen now, it's not moving. That's all my camera equipment that's moving, but the bottle is secured in the cup holder, so I will give the Nissan Quest a pass. Then I have a little cubby, just a little area just to throw, you know, whatever you want. Mainly the keys. This is a push-to-start vehicle, so that's actually where I have the keys right now. And then I actually have 2 more cup holders on the back. So up here within my reach of the driver, I have 6 different cup holders, which is awesome. And like I keep saying, storage is huge when it comes to minivans, and this minivan certainly has enough. But before we get into the back, let's talk about my seat. My seat is decently comfortable, very, very base model from Nissan. It's nothing really too impressive. However, it's comfortable for a base model, and you know, you're gonna be spending hours in this thing. You're gonna take your kids from Chicago to Disney. That's a 21-hour drive. You know, you're gonna spend a lot of time behind the wheel, and this is definitely comfortable enough to do so. They are not power, they are not heated. They are not memory. They're as basic as you come, but like I said, they're comfortable. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the back seats, because this is really why you buy a minivan. So moving into the back, the first thing I want to note is the fact that this does not have power doors. Now, the upper trim levels of the Quest did come with power doors, but unfortunately this did not. So if you do have little kids that don't have the arm strength or whatever it may be that can't open up the power doors, you're gonna have to get a nicer trim level than the S. However, I do have power windows, which when I was a kid did not really exist in minivans. So that is a nice feature. And I do get this nice little center console. Like I said, 2 more cup holders, now making it 8 cup holders within my line of sight right here. And they do hold the big friggin' bottle as well. And I get a nice little compartment in here that is fairly deep. I'd say probably about 8 to 10 inches deep, which is really, really nice. The kids can store stuff back here, or you can keep chargers, toys, whatever it may be. This nice little center console can hold it. Other than that, I don't really get many other options. I do have my own heating and cooling controls up here on the ceiling. I do have these little lights as well, and vents right here. Now, this is a 7-person vehicle, so we will hop in the back. All right, so now I'm in the very back of the Nissan Quest, and the seats back here are not great. Not a lot of room between the second row and the third row, which is why I'm sitting sideways, because I don't really think I could sit forward and back. This is gonna be fine for little kids. However, the more modern Honda Odyssey and Toyota Sienna that I drove recently, I'll leave those videos at the end of this. Those have way better third rows where I could sit normally like a normal human and still fit. However, the reason for this smaller back seat is that actually behind these seats, I'll get out and take a look with you guys in a second, but there's actually a very large cargo space still available. Because I was looking at the cargo space and I'm like, that's a lot of space, but it's because the third row suffers for it. So they're not the best, but I still like these third row seats better than the SUVs of modern era. Now, these back seats aren't great, but I still like them better than an SUV. I still think that these back seats are better than an SUV. But let's get out and take a look at the tailgate and cargo area. All right, so we're on the back of the Nissan Quest. A little power unlock here, but no. And once we're back here, like I said, look at how much room this actually has. These seats can actually be reclined a lot more. So that's probably why I was complaining about the seats, but they also go down some type of, somehow. There they go. So you can actually fold those seats down as well. And I have these little compartments, not little compartments. Oh my gosh. Look at, let's get these floor mats out of the way. Look at how deep that is. I mean, that is absolutely huge. So much storage here in the Nissan Quest. I absolutely love it, and that is something that would really draw me towards a vehicle like this. It's just so much room, and like I said, I complained about the third row seats, but these do recline a little bit more to give you a little bit more room. That doesn't improve the leg room, but at least you won't feel as claustrophobic. I love that. This car, or this van, sorry, has so much storage that it's really, really impressive. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I don't know how I feel about this car, honestly. First of all, it kind of looks like the Nissan Cube. The Nissan Cube used to be sold here, and it was this wacky little fun car. And it sort of mimics that. It has a very distinct Japanese look. As an automotive journalist, I can look at this immediately without any badging and say that's definitely a Japanese shape. Just the way that it's sort of curvy yet angular. It's this weird mix that we don't really see here in American cars. And I really can't think of any German minivans besides the Volkswagen, but that's really a Dodge Caravan underneath. So it looks very, very interesting, and I'll let you have your own opinions on that. Speaking of exteriors, if you are legally required to run a front plate on your vehicle in the state or country that you live in, but you think it's too ugly, then click the link in the description below and get yourself a con plate. The con plate holder is a suction cup holder for your license plate that goes on the inside of your windshield. This means you can remain legal when driving around, but for pictures, for shows, it's easily removable from the windshield, so the front of your car looks its best. Click the link in the description below, get your own con plate, and keep your car looking good. Now we gotta talk about the Nissan Quest as a whole. Well, first of all, I don't wanna be too hard on this. Like I keep saying, this is a base model. So I don't wanna say, oh, the Nissan Quest is terrible because I just drove a Honda Odyssey and it had this, that, and the other. Well, that Honda Odyssey was $50,000 and, well, this isn't. I have to say that I'm pretty happy with the Nissan Quest, and I'm a little sad that they didn't sell a whole lot of these. For this year, 2013, Nissan sold just under 13,000 of these, which is not a lot. And in total, this generation, which lasted from 2011 to 2016, again, or 2017 for fleet sales, they only sold about 80,000 of these, which is not a lot. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, the Toyota Sienna and Honda Odyssey have such a foothold in the minivan market. Those are household names. The Nissan Quest didn't quite get the foothold that the Sienna and the Odyssey got. And the second reason, I think, is because this vehicle does have a CVT. Now, today in 2021, that's pretty normal. A lot of vehicles have CVTs. I'm looking at all the car dealerships' backlots. I'm pretty sure if I sneeze, it's gonna hit a car with a CVT. But back in 2011, CVTs were still sort of odd for cars. Yes, I know you snowmobile guys, you've had them for a while, blah, 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 whatever. But back in 2011, I don't think many people really knew what a CVT was. And so if they saw that on the window sticker, oh, CVT, what is that? I don't know. Like, when you buy a vehicle like this, you want to know everything about it. You want to be comfortable with it. And I think the CVT was sort of a turnaway point because it was just so unknown. There's nothing wrong with a CVT. However, it was just something very foreign. And the reason I bring all that up is because honestly, I'm driving this. I'm comfortable. I have great field of vision. That's one of the biggest things about the Nissan Quest. Great field of vision. I feel like I don't really have much blind spots besides the very rear corners, but these mirrors are so large that it's not really an issue. Sure, I don't have Apple CarPlay and massaging seats and 8 different sunroofs, but this was a very inexpensive way to get into a minivan, and I stand true. I'm sorry, Tyler. I know you hate minivans if you're watching this, but I really think that if you have more than 2 kids, you should really, really consider a minivan. It's just so much easier to load kids into the back. It has a lower loading ground than an SUV. It has wider doors than an SUV, so getting that new car seat in the back is not going to be as much of a struggle. Plenty of room. This seats 7, which, yes, there are SUVs that seat 7, but no one has ever looked graceful getting into the 3rd row of an SUV. At least a minivan sort of shelters your dignity ever so slightly in that respect. I don't know, there's just something quirky and different about the Nissan Quest that just really appeals to me. Maybe it's the name Nissan Quest. I mean, a quest is like something from like a video game where an NPC comes up to you and gives you a task to do, and you go on this big, long, grand tour across Middle Earth or whatever it may be. That's a quest, and I like that. I like the look, I like the name, and I like the functionality. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Gerald Subaru for letting me take out their used Nissan Quest. Gerald Subaru is absolutely awesome. I've reviewed a ton of Subaru products from them, but I'm excited to get into their used cars because they do have quite a large selection and quite interesting vehicles as well. So if Subarus are not your thing, maybe even if Nissan Quests aren't your thing, then still go check out Gerald Subaru. Their information is up on the screen as well as linked in the description below. They have hundreds and hundreds of cars on the lot, and they will find something for you. They have been absolutely awesome. Their service is great. Even on this gloomy Monday morning where I'm driving a minivan and there's a snowstorm coming, everyone greeted me with a smile and gave me top-notch service. So definitely go give your business to Gerald Subaru. Like I said, their information is up on the screen as well as linked in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, subscribe if you really like this. Take care, guys.